And the White House jumping to defend pro-abortion protesters outside the homes of Supreme Court justices this weekend. Watch.
So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
More protests are planning for today. They're planning today to go to more Supreme Court justices' homes. Even House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home is not safe. Pro-abortion activists are showing up at her San Francisco doorstep as well, saying that they want her to do something about the Supreme Court draft. Joining me right now is California Congressman Darrell Issa. He is a member of the Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for being here this morning. And I know you have a bill that would beef up security for the justices and their families. How do you see this?
Well, we see it as the first time it's been a necessity since the Civil War. Part of it because of people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who are encouraging, and the president through his spokesperson, they're calling it peaceful protests. But the fact is we have a law against intimidating judges and justices, and it's on the books for a good reason. You know, you're not supposed to go and lobby a judge. That happens to be intimidation, and it's what's going on.
Well, it's incredible, actually, that this is not denounced by this White House. I mean, the whole intent here is to get them to change their draft opinion, right?
Absolutely.
That's
the reason
bullying.
it was they leaked the draft for the first time ever to try to make that possible, and now you're seeing this intimidation, and it's the worst of the worst. The one thing that, and I don't like a lot of Supreme Court decisions over the past number of years, but the independence of the court is critical. It's critical that Congress not meddle. It's critical that the executive branch not meddle. And it's certainly inappropriate to have thousands of people on either side trying to intimidate justices for their decision.
Meanwhile, the president's trying to get ahead of today's inflation report. He's insisting that the pandemic and Vladimir Putin are to blame for sky-high prices on just about everything. Even though we've got the inflation timeline, we know where inflation was when he walked into the Oval Office at 1.4%. During his speech yesterday, though, he also said that it's the fault of the, quote, ultra-MAGA Republicans, Congressman. I want to get your take on ultra-MAGA Republicans. He's trying to make this a bad word as the price of gasoline today reached another record, $4.40 a gallon, up nearly 50% from a year ago, Congressman.
You know, Maria, it's pretty amazing that what he's doing is the oldest of the dirty tricks of the Democrats. He's blaming the entrepreneur. He's blaming the job creator. He's blaming the people who, during the previous years, under multiple administrations, made us more efficient, drove down the cost of doing business, made our workforce the envy of the world for their efficiency. Rather than admitting that the supply chain is broken, his system of throwing money at a broken supply chain doesn't fix it. Those ships sitting off our shore need to, in fact, get unloaded. We need to get our oil and natural gas going again. All the things that were going well just a year ago that he broke.
So what do you think? I mean, it was surprising to me that he didn't have any new ideas yesterday, because he said, we're going to get in front of it. This issue matters to me, and yet he's over there pushing Build Back Better again.
I've known him for, much of his 4 decades. He never has had a new idea that actually worked. This is one of the problems with the president, is that his answer is more spending. And it's the answer that my friends on the other side of the Capitol are also pushing. The fact is, government needs to take their foot off of spending and let the American entrepreneur go back to fixing the problem. We can do it. It's not going to happen. It may happen if we encourage chip production in the U.S. and so on in the long run. But the idea that you're going to throw money at an economy that's getting 8 and 9% inflation just says, fuel more inflation. That's not even high school economics. It's just dead wrong.
Yeah, we're looking at a picture of the Shanghai shutdown supply chain nightmare, and we still have tankers and huge ships in the water unable to unload and load, and that's also adding to this issue. But I want to get your take on what the administration is doing about it, because so far, as all of these issues have been really hurting American families, he's coming out with the disinformation board. He's coming out with the blame game on everybody else. I know you've had a chance to look through Hunter Biden's laptop. I guess that story is going to be on Nina Jankowicz's list of disinformation once this governing board gets going.
Well, it's interesting that they had it as disinformation in October before the election. They successfully squelched it. But now the Department of Justice is facing the fact that Hunter Biden is a criminal. He's a tax evader, and they're trying to cut a deal to make it go away. So, yes, they're trying to play it down, but they're going to have to also find a way to admit that Hunter Biden has made a, quote, deal over what should be criminal charges. Millions of dollars of unreported income, tax evasion, basically, and, of course, his criminal activity of representing the interest of foreign governments, even to the vice president. That's a crime.
Well, do you think Merrick Garland tips the scales here, or are we going to see a serious look at whether or not bribery rules were broken? I'm talking about the Foreign Bribery Act. Is
Right.
that a consideration, or is this just taxes?
Well, it's both, and there's no question at all. There's a number of crimes. The now validated laptop shows criminal activity, including his drug use. By the way, that's drug use that the Secret Service, the FBI, and the Vice President were very aware of during his vice presidency. But having said that, look, the fact is Hunter Biden is a very troubled person, and I'm less interested in Hunter Biden than I am in the vice president who seemed to be so affected by supporting his son inappropriately during his vice presidency, and that's what should be going on. Eric Holder famously said an attorney general wears two hats. Now, the question is, will the Attorney General put the hat of law enforcement on, or will he put the hat of I serve at the pleasure of the president? And that's a test for our Attorney General.
Yeah, it's a good point, and we're going to be watching that one. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Maria.
All right, Darrell Issa is in